Alright, hello there ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game 3 of Wounded Stars versus Height Entus. This is Leta versus Soulkey. Again, apologies that I have watched this game previously. I actually casted this whole game, and at the end I hit stop recording on my casting program, and nothing happened. There is no file there. I have no idea what happened. I may have like put it on pause instead of record or something. I don't know. In any case, coming at you again with Soulkey versus Leta, and I have seen this before, but I'm just gonna try and basically say the exact same things that I said the first time around. And if I recall, what I said the first time around was that Leta is a very strong player and a very creative player, and so I'm curious to see what he ends up doing here because his team is down 2-0. Wait, is he? No. Wait. Sorry. No. His team is up 2-0. His team is up 2-0. Sorry. With all the mergers and team switches and stuff, I lost track of this stuff a little bit. Anyway, Leta is a very creative player. He's capable of doing a lot of different stuff, and so I'm curious to see what kind of a strategy he is going to go for here against Soulkey. He's capable of doing mech, for instance. Might be a thing that we might see out of him. Looks like he's got a barracks going down. Pretty normal stuff. We don't see gas yet, so if he was going for a mech, he would probably be going for gas already right now. Where is this SCV going? Oh, it's just going to scout. Never mind. Soulkey getting his expansion down. So this is a pretty big map. This is Grand Line. It's got the big ridge going down the middle of the map, and we have both players on opposite sides of that ridge instead of the same side of that ridge. So the ridge could be strategically important at some point during the game. It's a pretty good place to put siege tanks, or actually it's a pretty good place to put lurkers. Unfortunately, it is a very long ridge, so it can be hard to cover the entire ridge as well, and it can spread your forces thin a little bit. And I'm just kind of hypothesizing for the mid game. Obviously, it's not going to be very important early on. They are cross positions, very, very long distance across this map for the units to go. So that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for Soulkey actually, because generally TVZ, the Zerg wants to be farther away. They want to stall. They want to be able to stall longer. The Zerg tends to be a little bit more mobile, especially early game. Late game, Terran can be more mobile depending. But especially early game with fast Zerglings and Mulists, that kind of thing, they can be more mobile. It's easier for them to attack across the map. But more so, the Terran pushes when the Terran does, Terran's just going to defend, and then make a push. And the Zerg, when the Terran does make that push, the Zerg's going to want to try and get his defenses up. And that's why it's better to have a long distance, because then they have more time. If you've got lurkers, for instance, you can force the Terran to siege and unsiege across the map. You can do that kind of thing. Buy time to get, if it's an earlier push, you can get your sunken colonies up in time. In any case, Soulkey getting his gas down right now. I believe he's got a third hatchery going in his base as well. And Leta's just going for the 1 racks into expansion build. Very safe build. Also actually very good for cross position. So Terran actually has that little bit of an advantage as well. Sorry, I almost fell out of my chair. I have a tendency to lean back in my chair. And incidentally, that does actually hurt your chair if you lean back in it, People say, oh, don't lean back in a chair. My mom used to tell me that all the time, not to lean back in my chair. Although she actually was just worried about me falling over, which I did several times. I leaned back in my chair when I was on the computer all the time in high school, and I fell out of it several times. Anyway, I don't do that anymore though. I am so elite at chair leaning, I don't fall ever. Very rarely at least. I almost fell this one just a moment ago, but I caught myself. Let's get back to the game here. Lera is going up right now. Some Marines pushing out just to kill that Ling. They're not enough to put out an attack force. Anyway, what I was saying is that the Terran has plenty of safety, plenty of room to get that expansion up pretty quickly with his long distance especially with that scouting SCV that was running around the base earlier. He knew that there were not a lot of Zerglings coming out or anything like that. He knew he was pretty safe there. So Lera's up now, probably going to see, well, I guess, I would say this anyway, if I hadn't seen this game before, that we're probably going to see a Spire. But I happen to know that he's putting up Spire right now as well. Zergling's poking in there, prodding in there. There is a single medic out right now, and that single medic actually is going to make a big difference. Make sure that Zerglings can't go in and do too much damage. And if he had a few more Zerglings, he couldn't attack that group, and a Firebat as well. So now that group is like solid. Super solid. He's got his Firebat in there for masslings. He's got a medic to heal things up. He's looking good. Spire's half complete. There's Leta right there. Excuse me. He's got his academy up. Engineering bay up at a pretty good time. If the engineering bay finishes at the same time as the Spire, it's fine. You can get the turrets up. You can get turrets up pretty well after that. It works out just fine. The turrets come in right before the Mutalisks do. That's something we actually I hadn't noticed about Firebat Hero until Rise pointed it out to me, that Firebat Hero always had his turrets timed perfectly. They would just barely come in just in time, and he must have had it timed perfectly. Like, he must have, scanned at a certain time, and when the Spire is at 653 health, he builds an engineering bay or something like that. You can actually build the E-bay pretty late, and it works out okay. Zergling's going in there trying to snipe off some medics, just trying to delay these Marines and Firebats and what have you, and you can see how it gave him plenty of time to get those two sunken colonies up at his front door, which are going to be plenty to hold this attack off. Well, I mean, if you really went for it, wouldn't be plenty to hold the attack off, but with the Zerglings there as well, be pretty much a failure of an attack. And Leta wants to keep that group alive. Basically, he just did that just to prod and make sure that he forced Soulkey to spend a couple drones on those sunken colonies, and so they're not mining, and he has to spend the money on the sunkens as well, which means less Mutalisks when the Spire pops. Anyway, it looks like he's got the Mutazal now, pushing out. Leta's going to have to get his army back and regroup at his main base there behind his turret line. That group is not going to be able to stand up to that mutilating army, and he's trying to get his, Soulkey's going to get his third base up in the top right-hand corner as well, which is a very good move. And I mean, that's basically what the mutas are for. You get them out, they're map control. The Terran cannot move out for fear of a mutilating army crushing him, or the Mutalisks coming in and killing all your SCVs behind your army as well. And in the meantime, you can get all kind of stuff. You can get your expansion up. You can get your you can get your expansion up. You can get your lurker tech going, and then the lurker tech is really what you need in the sort of mid-late game. Anyway, so he's got a lot of turrets. Leta does not want to die to these mutas. He does not want to lose SCVs, so he's got turrets. He's got groups of medic marines by the turrets as well. So that's going to basically mean so the mutas can't just go in and micro against the turrets and pick them off pretty quickly with minimal damage. If he engages those turrets, he's going to lose mutas with those marines there. And it's going to be harder for him to engage the marines with the turrets there as well. So he's just being very, very defensive. Fourth hatchery, actually fifth hatchery going up for Soulkey in the main base. So Leta's playing very defensive, getting lots of turrets, just staying in his base, and Soulkey's like, alright, well, I'm just going to macro up there. He's got that third base going right now, and hopefully has lurker tech going. I believe I saw Den earlier. Yeah, Den is up, and there's some Hydras, so his lurker tech is almost completed. And we'll see if he decides to put some pressure on, or if he decides to just be defensive. He'll probably get a couple lurkers in the top right and put them on the ramp of that expansion.